Okay, guys, we've had some really interesting news over the past couple of weeks, and I have to admit, I've been a goober. I want to apologize for being a goober because I've been doing the news, and I've been uploading the videos. I've been finding the news, reading it, commenting on it, uploading the videos, and then forgetting to release them. So make fun of me if you want to over that, but I'm new to this news thing again. I'm just getting myself back into it, so I've been goofing a little bit. I'm sorry about that. So if you see the next several news segments that you see from me, probably will involve something that's happened in the news over the last couple of weeks. So I'm sorry about that. It's still all fairly current, so not going to be doing anything like years old or anything like that. So anyway, got an interesting one to start us out with here. It's from NBC News. 3 people have died in national parks since the start of government shutdown. A conservative advocate wrote the Trump administration urging closure of the parks to protect the health and safety of park visitors. Okay, now I want to stop right there for a second. This is going to be an exercise in how to properly consume information. I don't know if this is something they teach anymore. Apparently it's not, but there is a responsibility that you have as a consumer of information and that you have to discern. You can't just read something that's online or in black and white and just believe it because it's there. You have to discern what makes sense, what doesn't. You have to find out if what you're reading is true. That is your responsibility. It's nobody's responsibility to make sure that everything they say, everything they write is the absolute truth. You have to decide that as a consumer of information. And if you wind up believing in some crazy bullshit just because it was, printed somewhere, that's just going to make you a dumber person. So don't do that. In any case, this is going to demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about here. News story continues. 3 people have died in national parks around the country, including a 14-year-old girl who fell 700 feet down a canyon since the start of government shutdown, during which the Trump administration chose to keep the parks open. At Glen Canyon National Park in Arizona, the 14-year-old girl fell from the Horseshoe Bend overlook on Christmas Eve. The Coconino County Sheriff, that's hard to say, Coconino County Sheriff's Office confirmed. An Arizona Department of Public Safety helicopter wasn't available to recover her body until the next morning on Christmas Day. Later, on Christmas Day, in Yosemite National Park in California, a man died after he slipped down a long granite hill and fell into a river, injuring his head, according to the Associated Press. Andrew Munoz, spokesman for the National Park Service, told the AP that the investigation into the man's death is taking longer than usual because of the ongoing shutdown. He added that to the shutdown also delayed the park service's announcement of the man's death. A third person died Thursday of this week when high winds caused a tree to fall over on top of a woman and her 6-year-old son in Great Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee, the AP reported. Woman died and her son broke his leg in the accident. Many of the thousands of national park rangers are on furlough because of the shutdown that began December 22nd, making conditions in the park more dangerous and affecting the capacity to conduct timely rescues. Unlike in some recent government shutdowns, the Trump administration has chosen to keep the national parks open, and many people are visiting them, with some noting that they do not have to pay the usual entrance fee. Esther Rivera Murdoch, executive director of Rocky Mountain Conservatory, a nonprofit that supports the Rocky Mountain National Parks, said she is discouraging people from entering the parks during the shutdown. She said that many parks in Colorado and in the West have been lucky because snowfall and a lack of plowing due to the shutdown have acted as a natural deterrent to visitors. I don't want to encourage my staff and visitors to be in the park unnecessarily at any time because it is unsafe without park rangers, she said. There's not a regular response time. Well, that bastard Trump has done it again. Now people are dying in the national parks because that bastard did a government shutdown and kept the parks open. Okay, so that's the point of this article. You can tell that's the point of because of Trump, people are dying. people are dying because of Trump. And I've seen this split up into several different news articles from different sources. Some of them just report one or the other. I remember seeing the headline, man falls to death in Yosemite National Park during government shutdown. They always make sure to, throw that in there. So how do we approach this responsibly as responsible consumers of information? Because if you'll notice, all they're saying is that some people died in the park. In the national parks, people have died since the government shutdown. Okay. How many people normally die in the parks? Well, here's an article from the Active Times, at least a section of it. Overall, the risk of being injured or killed while visiting a national park is very low, according to the National Park Service. For example, when looking at fatality rates during the 2017 to 2013 timeframe, the average rate is 0.57 deaths per 1 million visits, said Jeremy Barnum, Public Affairs Officer at the National Park Service. Between 2007 and 2013, in all 59 parks, there were 1,025 fatalities. On average, approximately 160 visitors die per year while visiting national parks. Okay, let's do some simple math here, okay? There are 52 weeks in a year. 160 people die in national parks on average, at least between 2007 and 2013. That's a fairly expansive range to take from. So 160 people a year divided by 52 weeks a year. That's 3.076 something. So 3 people per week on average on a normal week die in the parks. Now, this article was written 2 weeks into the government shutdown. So that means that half as many people have died in government parks during the shutdown than do normally. This article, this is what I'm talking about when they talk about liberal media. Trump bad, orange man. This is just an article saying orange man bad and throwing out this idea of because somebody died in a park without actually going further to explain that about half the people who normally die in parks have died during the government shutdown. Orange man bad, though. See, this is why you have to pay attention. You have to do your own research. You have to poke into it a little bit and make sure that what you're reading isn't being misrepresented. And I don't know if they misrepresented this on purpose or not. I don't know if there was somebody at NBC who was actually looking at the real numbers and said, more people die when there's not a government shutdown, but we're just going to leave that out. I don't know if they purposely left that out or if they just didn't do any research and didn't give a fuck. I'm thinking probably it's the second one because they had a chance to say orange man bad. So that's what they're doing. And so you have to look at things responsibly, especially news articles. You have to check this stuff out. If you're going to get into the news, you're going to read it. Don't just believe what you read. Because even though they're not lying in this article, boy, they're leaving out a lot of context, aren't they? I mean, and plus, I don't know what are they trying to say about these park rangers here? I mean, they're like, 3 people died. Never mind that it was half the amount that normally die during, any given week. But 3 people died during the government shutdown. There were no park rangers. Okay, what do we have? We had one girl that fell 700 feet into a canyon. What, if there wasn't a government shutdown, there was going to be fucking Yogi Bear or a park ranger, something down there in the bottom to catch this chick and she wouldn't die? The guy who slid down the granite canyon or the granite wall or whatever the hell it was at Yosemite, there was going to be a park ranger down there to catch him. The tree that fell on the old lady and killed her. Just a park ranger was going to jump out. If this hadn't been a shutdown, a park ranger would have jumped out and caught the tree. Dun, 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 I have saved you, citizen. That doesn't happen like that. These people would have died anyway. They would have died anyway. The biggest complaint here was that it took them a little bit longer to recover their bodies. Okay, I guess that's a bit of an inconvenience. I mean, it's sad that the people died in the first place. But they're leaving out a ton of context here, and they're just trying to make it sound like Trump did it again. Now more people are dying because of Trump. Even though that's not true at all, it's actually less now than when the government shut down. Not saying that I like Trump, guys. I'm not saying that I'm on Trump's side in almost anything. There's a few things he's done that I think are pretty good, but outside of that, I'm not playing for a team here. Remember, I'm not a leftist or a rightist. I go with the best ideas. And when the news media does shit like this is what makes people not trust you, news media, is because you pull bullshit like this. And we're not stupid. We can figure this shit out, and we can point at you, and we can say, you're fucking lying, you pieces of shit.